Nebraska just wrapped up an absolutely massive recruiting weekend, hosting multiple 4-star and borderline 5-star recruits on campus, and finally, some 2026 flip targets. So in today's video, I'm going to go over this big time update because there's a lot going on behind the scenes with a 4-star defensive lineman who is very close to committing, along with a 4-star flip DB, some big news around a 5-star tight end. You already know who that is. Make sure to stick around for that update. Some developments with the class of 27. Are we finally going to get some commits in the class of 26? And everything else you need to know. So really quick, this is a jam-packed recruiting update. I'm fired up. If you are too, hit that like button. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? For daily Husker content just like this that you can't get anywhere else, it's no brainer. It takes 2 seconds. Join the family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. Nebraska just wrapped up an absolutely loaded recruiting weekend. We know the Huskers, they got the victory on the football field versus Northwestern, but they also had a couple crucial victories off the football field on the recruiting trail. So let's get things started with the class of 26 because there are a lot of developments in the class of 27, some big time news. We'll get into it as the video progresses, but the 26 class is the big storyline. We are 1 month away until sign day, and Huskers, they desperately need some commits in this class, and they are about to do just that. So I want to start things off with, in my opinion, the biggest prospect on campus who visited. A non-negotiable. The Huskers have to flip him when it's all said and done. 4-star DB, currently committed to Florida State. You already know who this is, Tedarius HUGHES. He visited Nebraska alongside his good friend, current Nebraska commit, Danny Odem. And really quickly, talking about Danny, I know there's been a lot of rumors about him flipping away from the Huskers, with Ohio State interested, along with Oklahoma, Clemson. Every single big-time school wants him to flip away from the Big Red. However, he visited Nebraska this weekend, and I can confirm that he is 100% solidified with the Huskers. He will sign with the Big Red. So this is a huge development. I am very high on Danny Odem. I believe he's incredibly underrated. He's completely overlooked. And really, again, he's a very high 4-star prospect. He's top 100 in the country, and yet that's still not doing him justice. If you watch his film, especially his senior season, he's blown up. He's playing the best high school talent in Florida with his speed, his size, explosiveness. He has as many interceptions as anybody in the country. This is somebody in Danny Odem who not only do I 100% believe will play as a true freshman, that's not even a question. He will play. I believe he could start as a true freshman with how open the secondary is going to be next year, with how talented he is. He is Nebraska's best DB commit in likely over a decade. Danny Odem should be a 5-star. He should be top 20, top 10 in America. He's been playing that well, so it's really, really crucial that Nebraska locked him down, and they did exactly that. So I want to start off with some good news to begin this video, but let's get into Tedarius HUGHES because that was the big prospect who was visiting. We need multiple commits in the secondary. We only have one, and Tedarius HUGHES, I mean, he's about as good as it gets. 4-star coming out of Miami, 6'3", 180, currently committed to Florida State, but let's be real. He's not going to sign with Florida State. That is a sinking ship over there. They've lost 4 consecutive ball games. Everybody in Florida wants Mike Norvell fired, Tony White fired. They will have a complete rebuild over there in a span of a couple months. So Florida State, they're off the table. So he's been shopping around. He's been visiting schools like Miami, Syracuse, Colorado. But really, it's down to Nebraska and the Miami Hurricanes. And there's a lot of things going in the Huskers' favor. Of course, he has that connection with the coaching staff, whether it's Phil Simpson, Addison Williams. He already knows multiple players on the team, not only Danny Odem, but a couple players who are currently with the Huskers. Again, that Nebraska connection, it's real, and it's paying dividends in recruitments just like this. And there's one thing that really blew Tedarius HUGHES away. This fan base is second to none. When he got there on Saturday, it was an 11 o'clock game versus Northwestern, not the biggest game in the world. It was dreary. It was a little bit rainy. It was cold. And a lot of recruits, they expected it to be, 50% capacity, 60% capacity like they see nationwide. Okay, that's the norm. And yet when he got there, it was a sellout crowd. It was loud for the entire ball game. He said that the kickoff return for a touchdown to begin the second half was about as loud as he's ever heard a college football stadium. He was knocked off his socks. So not only does he love this fan base, he loves the culture here, the facilities. He knows he can play right away. He's going to be part of a winning program. And also the money's right. We're offering enough money to get him away from Florida State and Miami. So Tedarius HUGHES, I'm not going to lie, he's somebody who really likes the state of Florida. And I believe in his heart of hearts, he does want to stay in that part of the country. And I don't blame him, right? A lot of Florida boys have that same mindset. But you're really not going to any good program in Florida because Florida State, they're not going to win anytime soon. They're going to rebuild. Miami, yes, they're winning, but you're not going to play right away. Florida, you're not going to play right away, and you're not going to win. At Nebraska, that's the only school that's recruiting you that you can get the best of both worlds. You can play right away, you can get paid well, you got great facilities, and you can win. And you can have a coaching staff that cares about you. So Tedarius HUGHES, again, he's about as good as it gets with his speed, size, explosiveness. Again, I believe he can play right away. Again, being 6'3", goal and get interceptions, but some good news around him. I do expect him to commit to the Huskers within these next couple of weeks, but definitely still watch out for Miami. I believe right now it's a 2-horse race. In Florida State, they're doing whatever it takes to keep him in their class. Then, on to my favorite player that the Huskers are currently going after in the class of 26, borderline 4-star defensive lineman Ahmad Lewis, somebody who is about as good as it gets from an edge rusher standpoint. He's a late bloomer. He reminds me a lot of Emmett Johnson, where, of course, completely different positions, completely different players. But Emmett Johnson, he was completely overlooked in high school. He was not recruited until the very end. Nebraska took a chance on him, and he turned out to be one of the best running backs in America currently. Ahmad Lewis is the same way. He's a guy who really didn't have too many offers until a couple months ago. He's been blowing up throughout his senior season. And if he was playing like this throughout his junior year or sophomore year, he'd be a 5-star. He'd be a very high 4-star guy in Nebraska. They say, you know what? We're going to take a chance on you. We gave you an offer. We gave you a visit. And I do believe Ahmad Lewis will commit to Nebraska very soon here. No crystal balls in just yet. I'm going to put in my crystal ball. I think Ahmad Lewis will commit to the Huskers. Again, he had a great visit, very similar. He loved the fan base, loved the facilities. He loves that Nebraska treats him like a priority. He already has a great relationship with Matt Rhule. We know that his brother actually played with Matt Rhule at Carolina, so the entire family's familiar with Matt Rhule, his culture, and everything around that. So the money's right, the playing time's right. And also it should be mentioned that really it's a 2-horse race. It's Nebraska right now versus Florida State. He's expected to visit Florida State next weekend. All he has to do is ask Tedarius HUGHES, hey, what's going on right now at Florida State? And he's going to get an answer. And he's going to hear, hey, Florida State, it's a sinking ship. Mike Norvell's going to be fired. It's going to be a completely brand new coaching staff. You do not want to go there, Ahmad. So if he did his research and he's going between the two options between Nebraska and Florida State, he's going to pick Nebraska every single day of the week. But I'm incredibly high on Ahmad Lewis. We need defensive linemen in this class. We need somebody with his upside, with his raw traits that you just can't teach, with the speed, with the size. Really, really like Ahmad Lewis, and I believe he will commit to the Huskers very soon. And then also, another reason why I feel confident we're going to land Ahmad Lewis, it was announced that Tavian Branch, who was originally expected to visit Nebraska for the Iowa game, he is no longer visiting the Huskers. He's canceled all of his visits. The only school he'll visit going forward is Ole Miss, which probably means he's going to flip to them when it's all said and done. So there's a couple of reasons why he maybe canceled his Nebraska visit. Number one reason is maybe he's just incredibly intrigued in Ole Miss and Nebraska just wasn't intrigued with them. Or Nebraska could say, you know what, we're landing Ahmad Lewis. We don't even need you, Tavian Branch. We don't have any room for you anymore because we're expecting Ahmad to commit very soon. So if anything, I think this bolsters the Huskers' odds to get Ahmad, which I'm perfectly okay with, but Tavian Branch no longer visiting. And then the last guy in the class of 26 I want to talk about, Juju Johnson. I expected to commit to Nebraska very soon. Again, the Huskers have kind of like a walk-on offer on the table, very similar to what they did with Kenneth Williams, where, you know, there's going to be no NIL, there's going to be no scholarship, but we have a spot on the roster for you, and you have to earn everything you get. Juju Johnson, he's somebody coming out of Farrell, Pennsylvania, has some nice speed, explosiveness. We're recruiting him to play both safety and running back. We're going to figure it out when he gets here, but just should be noted that he had a great visit, and I do expect him to commit to the Huskers within these next couple weeks as a borderline walk-on. All right, let's talk about the class of 27 because, oh my goodness, there are some huge developments going on. I want to start things off with Ahmad Hudson because I've been telling you guys for months now that it's a 3-horse race between Nebraska, LSU, and Texas A&M to land his talent's number 1 tight end in America. But I also told you that Nebraska is pretty easily number 2, and the number 1 team isn't even particularly close. It's LSU. He grew up to be a huge LSU fan. He's always wanted to be a Tiger. Of course, he's coming out of Louisiana. And it should be noted around Ahmad Hudson, he visited Louisiana this past weekend, LSU. He was at the game in which they got completely blown out by Texas A&M. It was embarrassing. They were chanting to fire Brian Kelly. They were chanting to fire every single coach imaginable. They were throwing stuff on the field. It was a disgraceful performance. It was embarrassing not only to the team, but likely to him for being there. And it should be noted that yesterday night, LSU fired Brian Kelly. They will have a complete rebuild next year with a brand new coaching staff that's never recruited Ahmad Hudson, that's never thought about Ahmad Hudson. It's going to be a completely blank canvas. That should give Nebraska some momentum. It also should be noted that Ahmad Hudson will now be visiting Nebraska for the USC game, coming off of the news from these past couple of hours that Brian Kelly is no longer LSU. He said, you know what, bet, I want to visit Nebraska now.
So the Huskers doing some good work behind the scenes. But again, the Huskers now have a great opportunity in front of them that we wouldn't have previously. Okay, he wanted to play under Brian Kelly. He really liked Brian Kelly. Now that he's gone, Nebraska has a chance to strike, and hopefully we can land him. And all should be noted, great relationship with Trey Taylor. Trey will be there versus USC as well. And also, it means a lot for Albert Simeon, 5-star offensive guard in the class of 27, who's really also down to Nebraska, LSU, Texas A&M, funny enough. Now, he's actually a little bit of a Texas A&M lean, but LSU is probably number 2, Nebraska's number 3. Now, I think LSU is completely out of the equation. Albert Simeon, somebody who values culture, and he also values a coaching staff that's been recruiting him for a long time. Now that, they're going to have a brand new coaching staff over there, I think LSU's out of the picture. It's going to be Nebraska versus Texas A&M, so again, gives us a good opportunity to potentially get Albert Simeon as well. And Huskers trying to get him back another visit. He visited early in the season, but they wouldn't mind if he were to come back for another one. And then talking about the rest of LSU's commits, as we always like to talk about, whenever a coach gets fired, we have to look at their class to see if we can flip any of these guys. Really, I don't think there's any specifically that Nebraska could go after. Jabari Mack is interesting. The Huskers had some interest very early on. I mean, there's a lot of Southeast guys who are super talented. We know Nebraska, we have a lot of connections in Louisiana, in Georgia. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Huskers try to call up some dudes, especially on the D-line, like a Deuce Gerald, who's really talented. Richard Anderson is going to have a lot of big-time bidders. I don't think Nebraska will be involved there. But again, should be noted, Haven Finney's really talented. So again, if I'm Nebraska, I'm calling up these guys because we need anybody in the class of 26, and these guys are about as talented as it gets. On to all of the visitors this past weekend in the class of 27. We'll gloss over all of them. Kwinten Hale visited. Again, this is a borderline 5-star wide receiver coming out of LA. Again, he had a really good time. I think with Kwinten Hale, again, he's about as talented as it gets. Go get jump ball, 6'3", super high upside. I just don't know if he commits to Nebraska long term. I'm not going to sit here and say the Huskers have a really good chance just because, again, he has every offer you can imagine. He really likes USC. He really likes Oklahoma. He really likes Alabama. So it was a big win that he visited Nebraska. It'll be really important if the Huskers can get him on another visit, but I'm just not going to really buy too much stock here that he end up committing to Nebraska long term. However, there's one guy who I do really like our chances with. This is also a borderline 5-star wide receiver, Khalil Taylor, who recently decommitted from Penn State. We know he's 5'11", 180, one of the fastest players in America. He's not only fast, but he's explosive. He can break tackles. He can play all over the offense. In Nebraska, they've made him a priority. Right now, the Huskers, you can make an argument that they're number 1 in the clubhouse to land him after that Penn State decommitment. He has a great relationship with the coaching staff, with Trey Taylor, who's been in his ear. So watch out for Khalil Taylor. It'll be a long recruiting process for him, but Nebraska right now in a good position to land him. Then Gabe Jenkins, also a Penn State decommit, 4-star linebacker, very talented, very speedy. Right now, as it stands, I believe Nebraska is in his top 3. He had a really good visit, loves his coaching staff. He loves the facilities, too. That's one thing that he really likes. Nebraska's facilities are top. They're number 1. They're not number 2. They're number 1 in America, and Gabe Jenkins really likes that. Amir Brown, who was a very talented 4-star running back, who I kind of told you guys, I don't know what Nebraska's odds look like here because Notre Dame's been going after him heavily, along with Penn State, Ohio State. You got Georgia in here. You got Miami. You got Michigan. I mean, he has every offer you can imagine. He's a big bruising running back who has some speed. So I told you guys it was good Nebraska got the visit, but I'm not sure how much the Huskers really intrigue him. However, I mean, it looks like he had a really good visit, and he was sitting there, and he posted this with Trey Taylor, with EJ Barthel. He really liked the game. Here's a picture with him and Emmett Johnson. So, I mean, this is a name to watch out for. I mean, I think EJ Barthel is a really good recruiter, and we're going after multiple 4-star running backs in that class, whether it's Kaylon Haney, whether it's Isaiah Rodgers, and Amir Brown is another name to watch. And then last one, who is a running back that I just have my eyes on, is Savion Miller coming out of Iowa. He's in our backyard. Nebraska's not offered him yet, but again, if we do in fact offer him, says a lot. Says a lot. He's somebody who has high upside and has an offer from Miami on there. And if Miami's offering a Midwest running back, yeah, means he's a stud. He got some speed to him, so watch out if Nebraska offers him in these next couple days. All right, guys. Wow. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time. It's recruiting season. Buckle up, folks, because I'm telling you right now, this next month and a half, it's going to be crazy. Up until sign day, there's going to be flips, decommitments, there's going to be rumors, crystal balls. Yeah, get ready. Buckle up, because at Nebraska, we're going to be active. We're trying to save this 26 class. And after sign day goes, it gets to transfer portal season, and transfer portal season is going to be crazy. So this is really the time of the year where the channel thrives, because I love to talk recruiting. I love to talk about this roster and what it's going to look like going forward. And just know this, man, the content, it's not slowing down. It is speeding up, man. I'm excited for transfer portal and recruiting season. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Hey, if you made this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go be right, go Met Roll, and I'll see you in the next one.